Welcome back, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. It's time for Real Estate Today with Peggy Wolfe, and she has a special guest with her, Greg Long, this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Harper. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Thanks for being here. We had a great weekend.
Good.
Yeah. How about you?
Really nice.
It's nice to have you all sunny and bright this morning.
Hey,
your
listen,
orange.
I didn't care if it was snowing. I was going to have some spring colors on.
This is all I had to give today, so I was like, I'm glad to see you at least representing for all of us. So
Well,
we want to talk today about some mortgage products.
Exactly. Yeah, Greg is here to talk to us about what mortgage products are available today, and he has some really interesting statistics that we were talking about outside before we came in here. So, Greg, you were explaining that now with prices a little bit lower and with interest rates lower, there's some great opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, here's one of the biggest myths out there today about financing is everybody's hearing all the horror stories that nobody qualifies for a mortgage, and that is not the case. I've been in the business since 1989, and there's a lot more aggressive products today than there was back then. So even in these times where everybody's hearing about, you know, how hard mortgage underwriting is, it's not. And people don't realize there's still zero down programs available. Here in Yampa Valley, we're designated as a rural area, so the USDA program is still available for primary residence purchases. You can still buy with zero down. Now, one of the other big things that's come up is about income and qualifying. So people think that it's impossible to qualify on their current income, and that's not the case either. The truth is, if I go all the way back to '89, allowable income to debt ratios are much more lenient today than they were then. And then the numbers that Peggy's talking about, I started playing with numbers from 2006 compared to 2011. So a typical example, and I think this is actually fairly conservative, from a 410 house going to a 310 house.
$410,000, which is now probably about $310,000 now.
So $100,000 drop in value from the very peak here is that what really happens is in 2006 fixed interest rates were about 6%. Today they're 4.75%. Okay, so that 410 house today you can buy for 310 at a cheaper mortgage rate. Essentially, that drops a qualifying income from over $70,000 a year to the mid 40s. So it's really a 50% drop in income that's required to qualify. So even without stated income stuff that we were doing in 2006, those numbers are much, much better than they were in 2006. So it really is a unique time to buy property. With low rates and the low home prices, you're way better off buying now than you were in 2006.
Yeah.
So with USDA product at zero down, VA still exists with zero down. You've got Home Path Properties in the area, which is a special Fannie Mae program, 3% down. You still have FHA with 3.5% down. So there's still tons of programs with low down, and qualifying ratios are fairly easy to make. Like, people think, oh, they hear this 30% number that they have to make. Well, that's not the case.
30% down.
No, 30% of their income allowable for housing expenses. The truth is, we're still getting loans approved at 45 to 50%. So the other neat trend that I see today is that the buyer coming into the market that actually sets a budget before they come to me are amazed at how much house they can buy. They're actually buying more house than they anticipated with their budget. When I fit in those current interest rates and home prices, people are buying more than they thought. That's the great thing. And in many cases, actually almost every first-time home buyer I've handled recently, their overall expenses are going down compared to rent. So if they come to me with a budget, the person that's renting today and sets a budget, they're actually buying a house cheaper than what their rent is.
Yeah, this is great news for Erin and her husband. She's like listening with all intent. She's like, what do we need to do? So that is my next question. What if someone's listening and goes, oh, I had no idea all of these things were out there. What is the first step? I mean, how do people find out more about all of these different options?
I mean, the truth is, call a mortgage professional, work with your real estate agent, and college mortgage professional. I mean, at First Cal, which is where I'm at now, we're a mortgage banker and a mortgage broker. So we have in-house direct underwriting, plus we broker out programs. So like USDA, FHA, all that stuff, we really kind of do in-house, okay? But if we get into the real portfolio product, if we start talking about what's available today for some of the higher end, let's say you're borrowing above the 417 or above the 7 or the 675 here, that's the conforming plus, and get into a real portfolio product, then most of that is brokered out. The other thing that most people don't realize is that they think stated income is completely gone, okay? The portfolio world is starting to fill in those gaps. So we have definitely seen a change as far as how lenient guidelines are becoming. We've already, I think, reached that tipping point where more investors are coming back into the market. Because now we have what's called an asset depletion program. So we can look at just assets and use those to add to their income, which 6 months ago, there was no product like that out there. So we have kind of turned the corner as far as more investors trying to get into the game, thinking that it's a good time to be securing mortgages against real estate.
Right, and definitely need a mortgage professional, like you said, someone who can guide you in the right direction. Greg, thank you so much for all of that advice.
Yeah.
And Peggy, you wanted to switch gears a little bit and do a little personal note
yeah,
out?
I do. I need to send a little personal message out. My very good friend Mary thinks she's leaving tomorrow, which I don't understand this because there's fresh powder.
Mary, come on.
She thinks she wants to go back to Ohio, and her husband Doug thinks he wants to go back too, which I really don't understand because we're going to have some great snow, at least for another 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And there's the big basketball game on tonight.
Right, yeah.
So if Butler wins, I don't even think you want to fly over Indiana.
No,
tomorrow
not.
morning. And they think they're leaving at 6:30 a.m.
Oh, no.
So Mary, you and Doug, I think you need to stay just a few more days. Just extend for a few more days. And if you can't, I'll have to say goodbye, and we'll miss you here in Steamboat. She just skied her little fanny off all winter long.
Mary. Well, yeah, Mary, I think you should stay too, because there's all kinds of stuff happening this weekend at the ski area. So I say more than a couple days. I say 1 more week for
There
Mary.
you go.
Okay?
Yeah.
Done. All right, Peggy. Well, thanks for coming in this
Thanks.
morning. I learned a lot from both of you. And Greg Long, thank you so much as well.
welcome.
We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Steamboat Today right after this.